Hey everyone, happy Thanksgiving week. Guten Morgen. Today I have a very special guest, Dirk Ruder, head of Web3 at Deutsche Telekom. Dirk, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Even? Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. And I followed your fascinating group on social media for some time, so it's really great to meet you. We're going to dive in a moment, but maybe introduce yourself. I guess Deutsche Telekom needs no introduction, but you're quite a unique role at Telekom. Maybe describe you and what your team is doing.
Absolutely, yes, pleasure. I'm heading the Web3 infrastructure team at Deutsche Telekom. So we are a very small team. We are based in Dresden, that's in the eastern part of Germany. So this is where we are headquartered, and we take care of infrastructure in the Web3. We are part of the Web3 strategy from Deutsche Telekom, but our main focus is in providing Web3 infrastructure and solutions.
And it's such an exciting topic for many of us tech geeks. But before that, I mean, not all of us will be sitting around the Thanksgiving table talking about Web3 and blockchain. So maybe a quick introduction to the non Web3 folks. What's your definition of Web3 at Deutsche Telekom? How do you see the world?
That's a good one. I think there's no big agreement on what it is. But for me, I would say in Web 2, we were enabled to create content, stuff like you do right now, and many others on Instagram and Twitter, etc., or it's called X now, etc., etc. But for me, Web 3 is taking back the power of over your own data. And
Mhm.
with this comes responsibility. And the technologies of the Web 3 basically enables you as a individual to control the data and the information you feed in all those platforms. Just give you an example right now is, let's say, Facebook. Everybody knows Facebook. So all the data you share on Facebook basically is then it's run through the mill of Facebook, and they make money out of it because they sell the data points. In an idle Web 3 world, you would sign up for a platform, whatever platform, and then you decide whether and what data you share, and you can always withdraw this acceptance or allowance. So all the data is at a single point of failure, basically with you. So no more leaks of emails and accounts, etc. So in an idle Web 3 world, this is prohibited or prevented.
Yeah, such an exciting vision, such a long way to go to the practical actualization of that, as you know better than I. So, Telecom MMS, how are you positioning yourself in this new Web3 ecosystem? What services and offerings do you offer in this move to Web3?
Yeah, in the history, we came from consulting, I guess, when
Hmm.
blockchain as a technology popped up a couple of years ago and became mainstream and hyped in 2016, 17, etc. So because I'm on board with the team since like 13 months now, so I'm quite new, but they came from this consulting part of the business. And then a smart colleague came up with the idea and says, why don't we merge our core competences, which is cloud computing, providing solid and reliable infrastructure, with what is needed to run decentralized networks. Basically, that's what we are talking about when we are talking about a blockchain. And this is actually what we do, and this is what we provide for the sphere or for the space. So Deutsche Telekom is world famous for reliability, total compliance, etc., etc. And we have enterprise-grade hard and software, and we run the validators, the indexes, and the oracles for various protocols, which are all like so-called decentralized crypto tokens. And that's the part we play in the space.
Great. Well, let's dive in a little bit deeper for our, blockchain savvy viewers. Why? Why did Telecom MMS launch a staking branch And what networks do you support in this new ecosystem? Kind of what's the big idea there?
As I said, we are the foundation of the Web3 strategy. If you build everything on top of it, which I hopefully you understand, we cannot dig into deeper because it's all like more or less at this moment classified, but you need a decentralized and solid foundation where all that stuff is running on top of. So this is this is the first step. And roughly 3 years ago, the pitch was basically we would like to power an Oracle node for Chainlink, which is the first network we supported. And so Telekom gave us, let's call it like a little seed finance. So they were like a seed investor in our idea. And we have proven that it's a solid business model. And then we prospered and onboarded new networks. We have now like a variety of networks. Of course, we support Celo, which is a chosen network from Deutsche Telekom and other telcos because it is very mobile centric, and we're in the mobile business as well. So that makes kind of sense. We are Polkadot, Polygon. We recently launched with the Multiverse and LF0. We also have the Energy Web Foundation, which is basically all surrounding the Energiewende, as we call it in German, like everything with renewables. And, I think it's a nice merge if you think about decentralized networks on the one hand side, and you think about more decentralized production of energy. So there is some sort of a lab, and that's what covered by them. We also run an indexer for the graph. We have Flow, and we have the Q network, which is not live yet. It's more about a governance token. Hopefully they will go live and be traded in 2024. So this is like from the proof of stake side. Those are the networks we support at the very moment. We plan to onboard more down the road. And on the proof of work side, since a couple of months, we are now running Bitcoin nodes and Lightning nodes.
Wow, that's a lot. You've done a lot with the team in a year. That's pretty.
Oh, it's in 3 years in total. In 3 years in total.
In 3 years. So you've been at it for 3 years. Well, it's still very impressive. You're moving at startup speed, so that's fantastic to see. And so tell us why Bitcoin? You mentioned a Bitcoin node, and why blockchain? Explain the power of those two technologies beyond just the crypto interest.
Yeah, the core value or the value proposition of, let's start with Bitcoin because it is basically the inception of the whole space. The idea was that you take off the control of human beings and you just leave it to mathematics and physics. And you cannot, or no single point is able to change anything in the protocol everybody agreed on. And in a world where you need steadfast information and perhaps data points you can really rely on. So basically, this is the value proposition of Bitcoin. Of course, it's money. It's not inflation in money with a 21 million limit, et cetera, et cetera. So this is where everything came from. And then other tokens and other ideas spun up. Bitcoin is in the core, it's like one use case. It's the biggest use case of them all. It's money. But there are other value propositions for other use cases, and this is what all those protocols try to address. Be it like, for example, you want to prove like digital tokenization of stocks, or be it more simple, think about gaming. You really own some skins in a game, or I don't know, like special weaponry or whatever you're playing right now. This is all centralized, so the company who owns the game can take everything away, or they can change the rules. In an idle world, you would really you have the digital proof that you own this skin or that you own this weaponry, and nobody can take it away. And I think we are at the very beginning to understand what we really can get out of it. NFTs are a big thing, like like these digital representative of collecting cards. I know I'm talking to an American. I know it's a big deal with the baseball cards in the United States, stuff like this in a world where, unfortunately, the young crowd is stick to their iPhone. So you need something digital, and this is where basically Web3 or all those tokens can help make this happen.
Yeah, and I think crypto, blockchain, and Bitcoin have taken a bit of a reputational hit, to say the least, through this last couple of years. But I imagine you have your eyes on a lot of B2B use cases, very practical use cases in industry, redefining digital business models, Industry 4.0. You came from Audi. I imagine in automotive, there's lots of blockchain use cases. Is that something that Telecom is really keenly aware of? Because you deal with millions of small businesses and large worldwide. That must be a key for you beyond the consumer style applications.
To be honest, we do not really research the use cases in particular. As I said, we basically boil it down to our core competences, which are, as I said, providing reliable, scalable, and fully compliant infrastructure, enterprise-grade infrastructure, and we leave the use cases and the creativity to other people. So in Germany we say, if you're a shoemaker, stick to making shoes. I don't know if that does make any sense in English. I'm good in English, but not that perfect.
Yes, it's a perfect example. So you're there to support, just like in the cloud or data centers, any applications. So tell us, what about your experiences supporting 10 plus different networks? What have been some of the challenges, surprises maybe over that period of time?
There is a learning curve, of course, because it is different. And first of all, you need to understand blockchain. We have in our team we have experts in this. And in every network you onboard or you plan to onboard, you need to understand the mechanics. You need to understand how or what the validator, the Oracle or indexer, I just call them nodes, like then it doesn't matter which one. So what the node requires to be run, this differs quite a lot. You have processing power intensive networks. You have networks who require fast speed when you have access writing and reading on hard drive. So this differs a lot, and you have to understand those mechanics to really provide this solid and reliable infrastructure. And and then it's when we were talking about scaling in the first beginning, as I said, we started with Chainlink. This was like basically running one Oracle in this particular case, and then we went over and we supported Ethereum through liquid staking. We partnered with Stakewise, which is like a pooling service. And then all of a sudden, we needed to challenge our tech setup quite heavily, if I may say so, because all of a sudden it was not we are running one node. It was now asked of us, or we were required to spin up nodes in a very, very efficient and quick way. So by facing this challenge, you really have to rethink the whole tech stack we were using. And so let's say the last 3 years were a constant learning curve. We managed that very good, if I may say so. We are very happy with our tech stack at the moment. We can basically address like spinning up those nodes very quickly. As I said, for Stakewise, there are various websites where you can have the ratings, like the percentage how you are reachable, etc. So we are like always in the top 3, which is a good thing. And it was quite a ride. It was very interesting, and we gained a lot of experiences, which hopefully in the long run is going to pay out for the Deutsche Telekom Web3 strategy, because as we build or as we provide the foundation of it.
Fantastic. So regarding networks, how do you select a network? What's the process like for choosing a network? How do you navigate that, given there's so many different options and technologies out there? It must be tough to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I stopped counting, to be honest. Even I think we're like way over 20,000 tokens. Of course, you can't. First of all, you can't onboard all of them. I guess that kind of makes sense. And we try to stick to a process where we look at the technology and the consensus mechanism. We look at security and resilience. Decentralization is also a point, which, by the way, is quite often a reason why a foundation contacts us. I'm getting back to this like in a second. Governance is also something we take care of, and last but not least, the use cases and the industry adoption. So this is something we like to look into, and it's not that we have like a ratings scale, but we look at all those points, and then we sit together and we make a group decision whether we take on the network or not. And of course, we try to avoid, and we did quite successful until now, we don't want to participate in any pump and dump schemes. We really want to support in a long term, like a network which has a promising idea or technology, and because it's for the audience, I guess it's very important information. So we don't hold tokens on our own. Our business model is very straightforward. We provide the infrastructure, and we get a little commission from the block rewards, and to be paid basically for our services. And for everybody who doesn't know what a block reward basically means, in a decentralized world, there is a so-called consensus mechanism. This ensures that all the decentralized nodes across the world basically agree on the truth. Like everybody has the same set of data, because that is important. And so every couple of seconds or minutes, depending on the network, you create a new block, and then someone is basically it has the benefit of getting the block reward as a thank you, and then you participate, or we participate in a commission in this. And as I said, because of decentralization, because we run our infrastructure on the Open Telecom cloud or on data centers we own, we are not part of the hyperscalers. And many networks, especially from proof of stake, they are run on the so-called hyperscalers, which is Azure, AWS, and Google. Like, they provide super reliable service. This is not what I'm getting at. But you have some sort of centralization, because you don't know if something is going to happen, and you have like 60-70% on one of those hyperscalers, all of a sudden all your nodes are being in the dark. And this is a problem. So we provide decentralization just by the mere fact that we run our own infrastructure on our cloud. So at least those nodes will then be up if something happens to the others. And this is a reason why some of the so-called foundations, those are the projects, they're called foundations in the Web3 world. Some of those foundations contact us and ask us if we can help them to secure decentralization, because they're using our services.
Fantastic. Well, so decentralization, check, it's so important to Web3. Security and performance, I guess, are the other pillars of the stool. And I imagine Telekom knows a few things about those too. That must be one of your key value propositions. Can you tell us more?
Yes. Well, first of all, every security is paramount for any network.
Hmm.
If you have
Hmm.
a leak, a hack, or anything else, you get bad press. I guess this is a given.
Easy to say, but less hard to do. Do it
Yeah,
well.
nothing is 100% perfect. I guess we can all agree
Yeah.
on that, but you can make it really hard to make
Mm.
it or to be cracked. What we try, so we do our part on our end, but we also assess the network security protocols because there are possibility of failures, be it like a bug in a smart contract,
Mm.
like those little programs they call smart contract. When you program them and they are live and there is a bug in those, then basically, it's really hard to stop them, and they're out there and they're doing their part and they do what they are supposed to do. And if there is a problem or something is going wrong, so everybody who used them in the past has this bug and they have to
Mm.
deal with it. And in general, if you want to be decentralized, we always want to make sure that you don't rely on a single authority, so that it's really decentralized. The more decentralized the nodes are, the more secure the network is. I think Bitcoin is a perfect example. You have a very decentralized network, and it's like theoretically it is possible, but factually it's impossible to penetrate the
Mm.
network because the amount of energy you would have to throw against the network to basically tamper with a transaction is it's basically impossible because you don't have the hardware to run the calculations, and the energy is also hard to get. So in total, basically it's Bitcoin is protected by mathematics and physics, and the proof of stake networks, they use a different road, but you can achieve with decentralization. You can achieve basically a similar protection, and we are trying to do our part here.
Oh, fantastic approach. Um, I guess one final point, we're connected on LinkedIn. I'd encourage folks to follow Dirk on LinkedIn. And you have a really interesting kind of headline, very philosophical. I'd love for you to comment on that and quote, misinformation can be refuted, only the truth needs to be censored. That's quite a powerful statement. Maybe can you add some commentary to that? It sounds intriguing.
Okay, now I have to be really careful and diplomatic. Well,
And
no, I'm
we
just
can apply it to any different areas, but that sounds like a
yes.
Web3 statement too, right? I mean, it's interesting.
Not so much actually. I think let's keep it general, and perhaps in the last couple of years, the like the attack on free speech
Mm.
grew, especially from the state, and I think this is wrong because free speech is crucial for a free
Mm.
society, and the movement towards more censorship sounds to me, and I live in in Germany, in the European Union, and
Mm.
when you hear some of those ideas from Brussels, like the head of the EU, to control chat rooms or to launch some
Aha,
sort of a
okay.
ministry of truth, I think this reminds me of bad examples in the past of humanity, and as I said, as it said in my statement, if I say something wrong, you can quote me and you can correct me, but
Mm.
why would you censor me? Because you can refute everything I say. If you have facts, you can throw them at me, and if I can't counter them with facts. Basically, you win the argument. But to censor me basically means someone is afraid of what I'm going to ask, and I
Yeah,
despise.
I think we can agree on that personally, and I thank you for explaining This is going out live on Twitter X. It's a very controversial platform, but there are mechanisms on many of these platforms now to allow for group consensus, and the Twitter birds can correct, clarify, comment at scale. And I think probably the future of social is going to be something like distributed Web3 as well, where you don't have centralized control, authority, and
Yeah,
overview of everyone's words and ideas, but rather it's a distributed network, much like the internet was back in the early days, which made
it,
it
it,
so attractive and popular. So
it is
maybe
such a
Web3 is coming
great.
around full circle to what the old internet sort of vision was.
I totally agree. And if you just imagine the idea of the internet connecting with people around the world, exchanging ideas,
Mm.
information, and data, it's still, mind blowing. And, we shouldn't restrict that. We should be open, listen to everybody, and learn.
I would totally agree. Well, thanks for navigating that question with me. I just couldn't resist. What are you excited about? What are you looking forward to at Telecom MMS over the next few weeks and early next year? Any events or travel or other activities worth keeping an eye on?
Well, we're all excited for the Bitcoin halving because it's going
Mhm.
to be like big news, and it's going to change the markets. And we depend on the prices as well, because our revenue model basically it depends somehow on the prices of the crypto tokens. So we are excited about that. And again, we are excited about the potential new networks we are onboarding. We are talking to new clients who want to delegate their tokens towards our infrastructure. So I think I would be bold enough to say 2024 could be our year.
Well, I think it's time for the positive side of crypto to come back after all the negativity we've seen, and even Bitcoin is looking super exciting as a technology and a currency. And so, as someone who's pretty deeply involved in the ecosystem and was a little disappointed over the last couple of years, it's great to see leadership from blue chip companies like Deutsche Telekom and not just startups all the time. So well done, congrats on the mission, and good luck.
Thank you. And thanks again for inviting me and having me. It was a great pleasure talking to
Thanks so
you.
much. Thanks so much, everyone, and have a great Thanksgiving. And reach out to Dirk and the team at MMS with your ideas and requirements. I'm sure they'd be happy to chat. Bye bye.